Welcome to BuildMoat. This is a podcast for leaders in financial services navigating AI transformation in the real world. At BuildMoat, we are a strategic consultancy focused on one problem most organizations underestimate: adoption. We position community as the missing middle layer in enterprise AI, the bridge between powerful tools and actual behavior change. In each episode, we unpack how organizations are really deploying AI, what is working, what is stalling, and why. We bring on operators, executives, and transformation leaders who share real experiences with productivity, efficiency, and scaling AI inside complex institutions. If you're responsible for making AI deliver results, not just headlines, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Ken.
And I'm Emily. It's great to be here. Today we're diving into something we see everywhere: the massive, and I mean massive, gap in enterprise AI adoption.
It's a huge topic. Companies are spending millions on these incredible AI tools. But when you look closely, the actual usage is, it's not what the brochures promise. That's really the core of what we do at BuildMoat.
Exactly. We're a consultancy focused on building community-driven AI transformation, specifically for financial services, because we believe community is that missing piece, the human infrastructure that actually makes change stick.
So let's paint a picture of the landscape. Let's say it's 2026. Most big companies are live with AI. They've got Microsoft Copilot. They have ChatGPT enterprise licenses. Some even have their own internal Copilot.
Right. And on the surface, everything looks great. Leadership is optimistic. The dashboards are lighting up with activity. People are definitely experimenting.
But that's just it, isn't it? It's what's happening beneath the surface that tells the real story. The first thing we see is that usage is incredibly fragile. It's not embedded in how people work.
Oh, totally. You have a few enthusiasts, the super users who are all in, but most people, they'll try it once, maybe twice. They hit a wall or a confusing result, and they just quietly stop.
And that 15% usage rate you see in the enterprise data, that's not adoption.
No, it's experimentation that never became a habit. That's such a key distinction.
The second big issue is that any learning stays trapped with individuals. So someone, let's say in legal, figures out this brilliant way to use AI for contract review. It saves them hours.
And they never, ever document it.
Never. So 6 months later, when a colleague needs to do the exact same thing, they're starting completely from scratch.
It's so inefficient. And all of this leads to the third problem, which is that a very small number of informal champions end up carrying the entire adoption load. You know who I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, they're the ones answering all the questions on Slack, they're showing cool tricks in meetings, they're troubleshooting everything. They're basically propping the whole thing up.
And if they get busy or get frustrated or, leave the company,
the whole thing just collapses. Adoption falls off a cliff. And leadership, they have dashboards, they see API calls and user counts, but they have absolutely no clarity. They can't see if work is actually changing.
Which is creating this massive sense of urgency, especially now in 2026. It's really different from the last couple of years.
How so?
Well, for three big reasons. First, ROI accountability. The honeymoon is over. The pilot phase is done. CFOs are starting to ask the hard questions.
Right. They're saying, okay, we spent $2 million on AI tools. What actually changed? Show me. Investing based on future potential just doesn't cut it anymore.
The second part is the post-implementation reality. The big consulting firms, they've done their job. The tools are deployed, the training's been done, but adoption is still stuck at 15, maybe 20%.
So the question has shifted. It's not, how do we implement AI anymore? Now it's, why isn't anyone actually using what we spent all this money to build?
And third, just good old-fashioned budget pressure. Q2 is when those fiscal year planning talks happen, and if you can't show that your AI investments led to measurable adoption, you're facing cuts. It's that simple.
All of this leads to what we call the AI consumption gap. It's the difference between what a company has deployed and what their people actually use.
And it comes with a heavy dose of what we call shelfware shame.
Shelfware shame. I love that. It's that feeling leaders have when they know deep down they've paid for these amazing capabilities that literally no one is using.
And look, this isn't a training problem. Companies have run the workshops. It's not a technology problem either. The tools work fine.
This is a behavior change problem disguised as a technology problem. And that's why the traditional approaches just don't work.
Right, like training programs fail because learning happens in private. You go to a workshop, you learn some stuff, but then you go back to your desk and the pressure of real work hits.
And you forget it. And that knowledge doesn't spread from peer to peer. Then you have change management programs.
Which are just top down communications exercises. They send a few emails, but they don't actually create the right environment for organic, peer driven learning to happen.
And champion programs, which we talked about, they just formalize a dependency on a few heroes. They don't create systematic capability. It's not sustainable.
Yeah, so what's really going on? What's the hidden problem here?
What we've seen is that successful AI adoption needs three different capabilities, all working together. First, you need cultural permission. People have to believe that using AI is valued and, safe.
Okay, that makes sense.
Second is friction reduction. When people hit a blocker, they need help, and they need it fast. Otherwise, they just give up. And third, you need systemization. Successful experiments have to become repeatable processes.
And the crazy thing is, most companies already have people who can do all three of these things. They have champions who create that cultural permission through their own enthusiasm.
They have mentors who reduce friction by just naturally answering questions.
And they have potential AI operators, people who are great at turning a messy workflow into a clear, documented playbook.
But here's the kicker. These people are invisible to leadership, and they're disconnected from each other. Champions are evangelizing in a silo. Mentors are answering the same question for the 10th time. It's chaos.
So the problem isn't a lack of talent, it's a lack of infrastructure to make that talent visible and collaborative.
Exactly, which brings us to the BuildMoat solution. Our fundamental insight is this. Community is not engagement, it's infrastructure.
I love that soundbite. It's so important. Traditionally, people think of community as like a Slack channel for tips or some center of excellence that writes reports no one reads.
Right, or some initiative to make AI fun. But we see it completely differently. We treat community as a routing system that connects a question to the person who can best answer it.
And as a capture mechanism that turns one person's aha moment into a reusable asset for the whole organization.
And finally, as a visibility layer that shows leadership where adoption is real versus where it's just fragile experimentation. This is systematic, measurable work.
And that's where our methodology comes in. We call it the MOAT framework. MOAT. It's the missing human layer.
Let's break it down. M is for mission alignment. This is about ensuring AI use cases are connected to actual work outcomes, not just some abstract claim about being 30% faster.
Right. People adopt things that solve a real problem they have today. So O is for organic leadership. This is about identifying those natural champions, mentors, and operators we talked about, not appointing them from on high, but activating the people already doing the work.
Then A is for authentic engagement. This means creating real peer-to-peer help loops. Questions come from real work, and help comes from a colleague who just solved that same problem. No consultants dominating the chat.
And finally, T is for tribal identity. This is about building a sense of belonging around AI capability. It's creating that feeling of people like us do things like this, so people who are struggling feel connection, not judgment.
And this whole approach, this idea of community as infrastructure, is really our competitive moat, because it's something that the big players just can't replicate.
Yeah, think about it. Large consulting firms are built for implementation. They deploy the tech and then they leave. They can't stick around for the 6 to 12-month behavior change cycle. It doesn't fit their model.
And tech vendors, they're built for product adoption, not behavior change. They're incentivized to add more features, not reduce friction. And internal teams often lack the external credibility and proven methodology to really drive this.
So we solve the problem that appears after everyone else's work is done. So how do we actually start?
Our entry point is a 30-day AI adoption pilot. It's designed to answer one very specific question. Can AI adoption become visible, social, and repeatable in this organization without new tools or creepy employee monitoring?
I love how focused that is. So what happens in those 30 days?
Okay, so week one is all about adoption visibility. We establish a clear baseline of team level usage patterns without monitoring individuals. We get a clear picture of adoption health.
Okay.
Week two, we put peer learning in motion. We activate a lightweight peer help loop inside existing tools like Teams or Slack. Real work questions get answered by peers who've solved similar problems.
Week 3 is workflow capture. Based on the real usage we're seeing, we help identify repeatable workflows and document them in short, human-readable playbooks, not those generic prompt libraries nobody uses.
And finally, week four is proof of movement. We rerun the baseline from week one and compare. Has adoption spread? Is dependency on those few champions reduced? The output is hard evidence you can take straight to leadership.
So in just 30 days, the pilot systematically identifies and activates those hidden champions, mentors, and AI operators. Leadership suddenly knows who their talent is and whether adoption is actually spreading or just stuck.
And what makes us so different is that there are no new platforms to learn. There's no surveillance, and we're not creating dependency. We build capability that lasts long after we're gone.
And who is this for specifically? You mentioned financial services earlier.
And for organizations that see real movement in the pilot, that's just a beginning. BuildMoat offers a whole service ladder to climb. Yes, we focus on financial services because the stakes are so high. You have high regulatory requirements, complex workflows, and a natural risk aversion. Generic training just doesn't work there.
People need social proof from their colleagues before they try something new, and our community approach provides that in a safe, auditable way. And we typically work with a few key people.
Right, like the head of AI who's feeling that shelfware shame and under pressure to show ROI, or the change director who's tired of culture initiatives that don't stick.
Even a VP of operations worried about errors, or a head of innovation stuck in pilot purgatory. We give them the visibility and systemization they need.
So, to bring it all home, what's the core belief here? The big takeaway for our listeners?
The BuildMoat thesis is that AI transformation fails not because of the tech, not because of a lack of training, but because organizations are missing the human infrastructure to turn individual success into collective capability.
And community is that infrastructure.
Community as systematic routing, capturing, and spreading of knowledge. When we succeed, leadership has visible adoption patterns, champion dependency goes down, and learning spreads organically.
And the CFO gets what they wanted all along, measurable ROI. Evidence that the investment produced real behavior change, not just a spike in API calls. We make adoption real.
That's our moat. But before we wrap, I think it's worth digging into that a bit more. Why can't the big players just copy this?
That's a fantastic question, Emily. It gets to the heart of our strategy. The simple answer is that our competitive advantage isn't some secret methodology or proprietary tech. It's the time-intensive, relationship-based infrastructure work that requires genuine community expertise.
That wraps today's episode of BuildMoat. If this conversation helped you think differently about AI adoption, share it with a colleague who is in the middle of transformation right now. You can find more insights, research, and details on our 30-day AI adoption pilot at buildmoat.co.uk. And if AI is already live in your organization and you are under pressure to prove impact, our work is designed for you. Thanks for listening.
We will see you in the next episode.